Where am I today? Well, what a great question. I'm in a place where you can't even visit yet as a tourist. We had to get special permission to be here. If you want to know more about that, that's next on First Century Foundations. Well, welcome to the show today, and I am here in Jerusalem. It is a beautiful, sunshiny day. We're in the old city of Jerusalem, just inside the Jaffa Gate. And when we bring visitors here to the old city, people love the mystery and the intrigue that surrounds this place. They love to wander up and down the alleyways and in and out of the shops. They love to see the ancient stones and the beautiful archways, and in some places even paving stones that are from the Second Temple era, 2,000 years old. It's amazing to be able to walk up and down these alleys and experience that kind of history. But today we have the privilege of going even further underground. We're with Dr. Dan Bahat, who is an archaeologist and a professor and has worked for many years in the Western Wall tunnels beneath the surface where the Kotel, the Western Wall, is today. And I've been there many times. I've been able to see the giant Herodian stones and the ancient cisterns, and even a section of Herodian Street where, like I mentioned before, Jesus probably would have walked a 2,000-year-old street. However, today we're going to a place that even I've never been. Tourists are not allowed to go there, but because we are with Dr. Bahat, we get to go even further underground beneath where the Wilson's Arch was discovered, down into an area where they have uncovered a Roman theater from about the time 130 AD. It's very interesting to be able to see not only this theater and the beautiful structure that would have been there, but we're also going to see a section of the Western Wall as well. You're not going to want to miss this. Dr. Bahat is going to explain all about it to us in just a few moments, so don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
Coming up, Jeff visits the Western Wall tunnels with Dr. Dan Bahat. Exciting things are happening in the land of Israel. Because of the prayers and financial gifts of people like you, First Century Foundations has been able to support a number of ministries throughout the Holy Land, feeding the poor, looking after the sick, and bringing hope to those in need is the everyday reality for these believers in Israel. And this would be an impossible task without your support. This practical approach of feeding the hungry, clothing the poor, and visiting the sick is making a real difference in many lives throughout the land and is changing hearts. Yet while we are seeing many amazing miracles and successes, the needs are always increasing. Call or write today and become a monthly partner for just $30 a month or more. And when you call, be sure to ask for the free Israel Prayer Watch, so you will be up to date on all that is happening with the ministries that you are supporting. Call today. We're waiting to hear from you.
Hi, well, welcome back, and excited about today's episode because I am here with archaeologist and Professor Dan Bahat. Dan, nice to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
We are now in the Western Wall tunnels, but actually in an area where I have never been able to come before. And you're going to tell us a little bit about where we are and what's happening here.
Yes, the idea to dig here stems from the fact that when you visit the Western Wall tunnel, which is along the Western Wall, which is known as the most sacred place in Judaism today,
yes,
people are coming to pray here. And there is a kind of collision between the people who come to pray and tourism, because this place has got a lot to offer from the historical point of view, history of Jerusalem, general history of the country, and so on. So we decided to make a change, to separate as much as possible, to make one course for the prayers, and another one which will be below. Historically it is better, archaeologically it's better. Below will be for archaeologists. So here we encountered a surprise. First of all, we have exposed here a larger part of the Western Wall which was unknown, because one must understand that at this point we are much deeper than the standard level of people who visit the Western Wall. For example, the prayer plaza is just above us, but much, much, much higher. The ceiling under which we are standing now, this is the floor of the level of the prayer. So you can see really the partition between one thing or the other. So first of all, we exposed a beautiful part of the Western Wall, which was never exposed to the sun. Not never, but thousands of years already. I'll explain immediately since when. And actually, therefore, it is in a much better state. It looks beautiful, and one can imagine how beautiful it was when it was built. But the great surprise is what we found down below. We found here an Odeon. Odeon, which means a small theater, which is meant to be for odes, for literary reading, for shows in the term of the Greco-Roman world and all those kind of things. It was discovered some years ago, great surprise, and the interesting thing that the archaeologists who excavated, because I'm, you know, a new generation of archaeologists came here after I've excavated here, and the conclusion was very interesting. First of all, it was built as a part of the pagan city, as I've said.
Right.
And it was destroyed or abandoned with the victory of Christianity. Because in the 3rd century, I speak about the 2nd century, at the end of the 3rd century, the power of Christianity gets stronger and stronger, and in 333, 35, the inauguration of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and Jerusalem becomes a Christian city. Of course, this doesn't go side by side with all kind of pagan institutions, so it was forsaken, covered with soil. I'll tell you more than that. The seats, which see the base of the seats, where the seats which were made of nicely hewn stones disappeared. They were taken for other buildings. And actually this was left the way it is now. We are still wondering how to keep it, how to show it, because the only thing which is well preserved is the lower part. You see the lower course of the stage there, and what we call the orchestra. Right. The interesting thing is that down below we have here a trench, which is actually an aqueduct, which took water, sewage actually, from here, and flash flood water all the way down to the Kedron Valley and out of Jerusalem. Okay. We know about it because great parts of it were discovered. The same trench or the same channel was found along the Western Wall by Sir Charles Warren in the 19th century. Other parts are known to us today, going all the way down to the Siloam pool, around the Siloam pool. It has to bypass because it is sewage, and of course the pool had pure water. Right. So altogether, you see, the story, already Charles Warren in the 19th century thought that it must start somewhere here. And indeed, archaeology have proved that he was right. So altogether, it's a beautiful, beautiful new complex. And now the works which you see around here today are to create here sidewalks or walks for the tourists to come and visit.
Wow, incredible. So Professor Bahat, we're down here now so that we can see the beautiful stones here at this level, but before we get to that, I was asking you the question about the benches that are missing up above. And you say that those were basically taken, stolen, and used for other things.
Yes, which is something which is very typical to Jerusalem.
Okay.
When one period is reusing the stones of the other, it is much more simple to take it from here than to cut it in the quarry.
Right.
So this is what is happening, very typical to Jerusalem. And that's one of the problems why people, when they come and they see Herodian stones, they say immediately the building is Herodian. Whereas we know it is much later, but they found Herodian stones, so they are using it.
Okay.
Now the same thing here. Look at the way it was beautifully hewn. The stones are really beautifully hewn, and you can see, yes, very, very beautiful. And of course, the benches, you see the base, which is of very rough stone. Above it were the seats, which were, of course, with a better stone, but it was taken, yes, because with the victory of Christianity, a lot of building activity took place in Jerusalem. And they used everything available. For example, even the walls of the Temple Mount, parts of the walls of the Temple Mount were taken to build the pagan temple of Hadrian, and later the same structure was retaken in order to make the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. So you see, that's a very, very typical thing to Jerusalem.
I love the angle that we get down here of the Western Wall. This is a huge expanse of the wall, but really only a very small part of it, right?
It's a very small part. Look, remember that the Western Wall is almost half a kilometer long.
Wow.
So as long as you can walk along it as much as you want, but there is always one piece here, one patch there, and altogether you get a picture of the Western Wall.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. This has been very, very interesting. I've never had an opportunity to come down here before, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well.
Yes.
Don't go away. We'll be back after this.
Up next, Jeff travels to Petah Tikva to visit Lech Laha. Jerusalem, the holy city, is the focus of much of the world's attention. And Psalm 122 tells us to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Yet do we really know why, or even how? Why does God want us to specifically pray for the peace of this ancient city? And how do you pray for a city that for most of us seems so foreign and so far away? Praying for the Peace of Jerusalem, the new book by Jeff Futers, now reveals God's purpose for the holy city and all of Israel, and why he wants every believer to pray for his holy land. Now more than ever, the people of Israel need our prayers and support. And when you order your copy of the book Praying for the Peace of Jerusalem for just $10 plus shipping and handling, you are also helping these precious people in a very real way. Call the number on your screen now, or go online to firstcenturyfoundations.com and order Praying for the Peace of Jerusalem, and begin to pray for Israel with understanding and purpose.
Well, welcome back to the show. We had a great time together with Dr. Dan Bahat at the Western Wall Tunnels today. And now we are outside of Jerusalem, more toward the coast, a place called Petah Tikva. Did I say that right?
Petah Tikva.
Okay, so I didn't say it right, but that's okay. And I'm here with Johanan. Johanan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Great to have you with us. And you are the founder, have been involved with the ministry of Lech Laha for many years. Talk to us a little bit, first of all, about the vision of Lek Laha and what it is that you do.
You know, it basically started when I finished the army. It was about 1989, and I'd started the army in the middle of an MA in Jewish history, and I was wondering, should I go back and finish that? What should I do? And I got a letter from a friend who was in a Bible school in England, actually. And he said, you know, we really need something like this in our country, in our language, with our culture. And it was just like, I got that letter from him, and it was just like, that was the spark. I felt like that's what I feel the Lord wants me to be involved in. So that was the beginning of a journey from 89, 90, for about 10 years.
So how the program looks today, you are working with groups a few times throughout the year.
Right.
And tell us a little bit about what you're teaching them and how that's helping them to make this transition from Army back into sort of normal life.
So the program is like 3 months. We do it twice a year.
Right.
We're looking to expanding that because there's a growing number of young people who are believers. The main focus of the program really is their personal walk with Yeshua, with Jesus. And on that are hung all the other things we do, really. We do a lot of Bible study teaching, but that is orientated towards giving them tools for their own personal Bible study. We have quite a structured day, so they have a lot of time, personal time with the Lord. We also have projects that they do, like they have a psalm that they have to analyze. So we teach them about biblical poetry, and because they're Israeli, it's Hebrew. But trying to help them a little bit to understand how biblical poetry works, and then help them to take a psalm and get deeper into it. And it's really amazing to see how they light up, seeing that, wow, you know, like God's speaking to me as I'm getting into the text here. And we also have hikes. We try and do hikes once a week, but really, again, orientated towards discipleship and your personal walk with the Lord. One example, we will take them down to the Judean desert and do a hike down there and talk about David's time running from Saul in the desert, but pointing out how David was really discipling these 400, 600 men that he got, and this was part of his journey of God discipling him to become king. Right. So we talk about that kind of thing. So all these things are hung on that, and we really feel that our mandate is to be open for people from all different kinds of fellowships, because there are different kinds of fellowships in Israel. You know, we feel our job is really to focus their eyes on Jesus, to talk to them about what God the Father has given us in the Son and works in us by His Spirit. Basically, Ephesians chapter 1 is our kind of flag. Ephesians chapter 1, you know, just telling us what God has given to us in His Son, which is amazing. And it's just amazing to see the way that these young people open up like flowers, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Thank you, Johanan, for sharing with us today. We're going to hear a little bit more about Lek Laha, so don't you go away, but God bless, and we'll let you get to teach in your class.
Okay.
Thanks.
My name's Roland. I'm 22 years old. I've lived in Israel for almost 15 years now. I was in the last program, the previous program, and it was just what I needed when I needed it. How the program works is after the military, most people here are tired, especially believers. For 3 years, you spend time surrounded by people that are constantly breaking you down in terms of your faith and challenging you, and a lot of times you're the only one on your base that's a believer. If you're lucky, there are 3 or 2 other people, and then you get to see them maybe once a week. So by the time they end the army, most people are worn out and tired. And this program really offers that. It really gives a good time period of 3 months where they can take a break, and then instead of having everybody around you breaking you down, you have everybody around you trying to build you up, and everybody supporting you. We start out with going back to the foundation. What is salvation? We go through teachings. What does it really mean? How do we get to it? Why do you know, all the whys and how and where is it written? And then afterwards we focus on different areas of the Bible that are relevant. We work through some of the prophets, through teachings. This is all through teachings that they sit in a classroom and learn. And then near the end of the program, we start focusing a little bit more on sending out what you received. And we start equipping them to preach the gospel, start equipping them to share the gospel with people, how to share it. And then let's go practice it. Let's go to a mall and, I don't know, share the gospel with people. I really needed this because I went through a really challenging time 2 years before the program. And Lech L'cha was really the thing that gave me that. It really gave me the opportunity to take a break a little bit from the world, take a break from all the craziness, and it was really a gift from God. When the program finished, I really felt that I've received tools that would aid me for the rest of my life. Nearing the end of my program, they approached me and asked me if I would like to continue on as staff, as volunteering staff. And it's something that I felt that the Lord was opening the door for me to do. And I love this place so much. And I really felt that I would like to invest back into it a little bit. My favorite part of being here is the people, for sure. The changes that are happening in them are really, really encouraging to me.
I'm here now with Shmuel. And Shmuel, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
It's our pleasure. And you have been connected to, involved with Lek Laha for how long now?
It's been almost a year now.
Okay.
I just came to fill in the place. One of the leaders has been on sabbatical, and I just felt that there was a need, and that's why I wanted to serve.
And what is it that you're doing?
I am the program director.
Okay.
So actually one of the leaders of the program, making sure all the program happens, all the scheduling and everything.
Right. Now, we met also Roland just a few minutes ago, and Roland was talking to us a little bit about the program. You've been a pastor for a number of years before coming to this role. Talk to me about how important this program is for young people here in the land of Israel.
Yes, I was involved in ministry for many years, and I knew about the program Lech L'cha. It's an amazing discipleship program.
Yeah.
There's a need in Israel for discipleship, and when I heard there was a need here, I really prayed about it and decided to join the team here. Discipleship, I believe, is one of the key things, one of the key needs here in Israel, and it's a blessing that these young people. I really believe that these young people they have a calling. Just to be a light to the world, light here in Israel.
Now, we have had the privilege of partnering with Lek Laha for a number of years now and helping with different projects here. But just talk to our viewers at home about why it's important for them to pray, both for your staff team here and for the participants, and then, you know, why should they care? Why should they invest here at Lech Laha?
Okay. It's Lech L'cha, God is working here. It's very challenging with these young people. I believe God is doing a real work. I believe the enemy is trying to when he sees real life-changing experiences, the enemy is trying to work overtime, I believe, here in Israel. And I believe that's why we need the prayers. Even just this program, so many young people got sick physically, and some of our staff, and we just felt that there was a need to pray, and we felt our prayer partners around the world praying with us. And it's just amazing to see, even though it's challenging, to see the changes in the lives of these people. And we know it's not us. We're just running the program. We know it's God, and it's a lot of prayers here in Israel, around the world, for these young people. God really gave people, partners like you, a heart for Lech Laha, a heart for discipleship in Israel. And we feel and we sense that these prayers are being heard. God is working. And when you hear the testimonies of these young people after the program, it's just amazing to see what God is doing. I just talked to one of the parents of these young people, and he said, "You just flipped them around. My son just flipped around." I said, "What do you mean, in a bad sense?" He says, "No. Now he's just passionate for the Lord, and everything he wants to do is for God. And he wants others to come and just commit their lives to the Lord." And it's just amazing to hear these testimonies from parents of young people in this program.
Fantastic. And as a parent, I can appreciate how critical and how important that is. So thank you. Thanks for sharing with us today. And thank you for watching and for continuing to pray for this important ministry for Lech Laha here in the land of Israel, and to also give. We've had great opportunity to be able to help with some building improvements and different things here at the center. And I know you're going to want to continue to invest in things like that. It's been great to have you with us on the show today. Don't go away though. We'll be back after this.
First Century Foundations has been making a difference in the lives of some of Israel's most needy for years. And you have been a vital part of this important work. Because of your gifts, we have been able to support the believers in the Holy Land, who every day are sharing the love of God with the elderly, Holocaust survivors, refugees, underprivileged children, and everyone in need from all backgrounds and walks of life. This practical approach of feeding the hungry, clothing the poor, and visiting the sick is making a real difference in many lives throughout the land of Israel and is changing hearts. But your prayers and support are critical in this work, and without people like you, this won't continue. Call or write today and ask for the free Israel Prayer Watch and learn how to pray and how your gifts will make a difference. We're waiting to hear from you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed being with us on the show today. We had an incredible time visiting in the Western Wall tunnels with Dr. Dan Bahat. So amazing to be able to see that history right before your very eyes. I hope that you enjoyed that too. And then we had a great visit out here at Lech Laha in Petah Tikva in the land of Israel. It has been great learning a little bit more about the important work that they are doing here with young adults here in the land. You know, the young adults here face challenges that not all young adults in the world face. Certainly in Canada, you know, we send our young people off to university and we worry about them and we pray for them, and it is a very difficult time when they go out to higher education. But our kids don't have to serve in the military. And here in the land of Israel, all of the young people, whether they are male or female, they serve a minimum of 2 years. And I think that it's so important, the ministry that Lek Laha is doing to help to transition them from that military serving experience into sort of real life. And we had the opportunity to talk to Johanan, who was one of the founders, he and Alon Grimberg, who started this ministry many years ago. And he shared with us a little bit about the heart and the vision behind that. And then we got to hear from Roland, who was a participant in just the last program and now is volunteering here as a part of the staff team. They talk about the importance of discipleship, and I think that it's so key that as we think about these ministries here in the land, that we're able to know exactly what it is that they're sort of focusing on so that we can pray intelligently. And the reason that discipleship is so key, I often go back to the verse in 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 2, Paul talking to his protege Timothy, and he says, you know, there's really something critical about the faith here, and that is that we learn to pass on what we know to others who can then pass that on to others as well. And let me just read the verse for you. It's 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2, and the things you have heard me say in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to reliable people who will also be qualified to teach others. Roland shared with us how that at the end of the program, or near the end of the program, they really focus on this kind of idea, that you've been here, you've been sort of soaking it in, you've been learning, you've been getting closer to Jesus, but now it's coming toward the time where you're going to go back out into the world, and you need to be able to pass on this information. And as we shared with Shmuel at the end, he talked to us again about why it's important for us to pray for the participants in the program, to pray for the staff here, to pray that God will restore them after this difficult experience that they've had in the military so that they can be ready to move on into the world. And so I want to just say thank you again. Thanks for following with us here on the show. Thanks for hearing today about this very important ministry. And thank you for your continued prayers and your financial support. It is so key to all of these ministries that are here in the land. God bless you. It's been great to have you with us today. We'll see you next time on First Century Foundations.
Thank you for watching. To learn more about this program and the ministries in Israel that we help, or to receive the Israel Prayer Watch, call the number on the screen or visit us online at firstcenturyfoundations.com. And to keep up to date on all that we're doing, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Join Jeff Futers again in Israel next week on First Century Foundations.